Why have I got three sisters here? Okay, that's the question.
If God says it, then I definitely think that is better.
It's not what the brother said, it's that you don't like it because it touched a nerve with you. And that's why you're responding in that way.
Like, for example, without my hijab, I go to like a solid like 8 out of 10 appearance, like attraction-wise. And with the hijab, I'm like, you know, a 2.
You know, if I'm choosing to dress the way I dress.
And they take these pictures with a hijab before, and then their picture now of their freedom, all of their pictures are all in revealing clothing, and they deem this to be, I now free, and I've made this choice.
And that's why we think subconsciously that it's my choice. But even psychologists and people around that have studied have shown how much we are influenced.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and dear friends. Hope you guys are well, inshallah. Welcome to this unique reaction video. Yes. Why have I got three sisters here? Okay, that's a question that everybody will be asking. Well, the reason why I've got three sisters is because I've done a lot of videos when it comes to the issue of hijab. No, I wouldn't say hijab per se, but it's been like maybe hijabi YouTubers, maybe talking about the hijab, men's hijab, etc. And a lot of people in the comment section say, you know what, why don't you, it's a sisters topic, why don't you shouldn't talk about it, which I don't believe in that concept, but you know, they say it's important to have the sisters say on it. And I thought it's important, it's a valid point, but I'm not to blame because do we have reliable influencers out there? There might be some, I don't know. So I was thinking, look, you know what? There was a video that was sent to me from a YouTube they're called Jubilee something, and there's three sisters, well, there's 6 sisters, 6 Muslims, 3 hijabi, 3 non-hijabi, and some people were like, can you react to that? And I thought, yeah, I can. And I was recently having a bit of a heated discussion with certain ex-Muslim females, and I noticed something in them, which we're going to come to, but this is the reason why we have the 3 sisters, because I want to hear it from the sisters. I want to speak to our dear Sister Farzana, may Allah bless her, Sister Naima and Sister Fahima, may Allah bless you guys for joining us. Can you just briefly, before we start, just tell us a bit about yourselves and what you do quickly, and then we'll get into the reaction video.
My name's Farzana Akhtar, and I work with sisters, mashallah, as a marriage and healing coach. So I just help them navigate through their relationship, and if they're having any difficulties, just coach them on that. And sisters who have been through a divorce, and just help them to heal through that process.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm Fahima Mahomed. I'm also a qualified life coach and NLP practitioner, helping people through their challenges, whether it's in their relationships or in their careers. And I also raise current issues on several different TV channels as a presenter and a producer.
When I stop it, we elaborate on it, yeah?
I'm shocked I'm sitting here. When we read the Quran, we get our own interpretations of it. But it does say that in there, to only show your hands, face, and feet. If God says it, then I definitely think that is better. But I don't think the behavior of acting like you're better than someone, that I don't see that's right.
She said what Allah commands in the Quran is, she acknowledges that that is good for her, but she doesn't like the fact that other people wear the hijab looking down at others don't. So we can all agree on that, right? But this doesn't give a right to anybody to look down at someone else. Do we agree, or does anybody want to elaborate?
Of course, I agree, but I think, yes, we need to elaborate as to what she really means. And I think what she really means is that there's so-called religious police out there, and there has to be akhlaq even when you are delivering a message. It has to be a message where it's actually inviting and welcoming, and it has to be something where it can actually influence in a good way instead of turning people further away. That's my understanding.
I wonder how much of this type of conversation is people projecting their own insecurities onto others. And I'm not saying that there are not those of us or people out there who judge and who are mean about things and harsh and, you know, just out of bounds and not in keeping with the akhlaq of a Muslim. But I think that there is also a projection that happens where people feel judged. They feel like someone is being harsh. They are expecting a bad response. And so when they get a response, that's how they interpret it. And I think that's something that we all need to be careful of as well, because the problem with kind of saying, oh, I don't like the way those who are doing the thing, the way they behave with me, it makes me not want to do the thing. You're basically giving power to people who don't know you. They don't know you. They don't know your life. They don't know anything. But you're giving them this power to affect how you practice your deen. And I feel like that's not something we should encourage, because every one of us is on our own journey. Like, we're all here. We're going to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, returning directly to answer to Him. And other people's behavior with us is not an excuse. So I'm not saying this to be harsh, and I'm not saying this to be religious police or anything, but every one of us needs to also be cognizant of the fact that sometimes it's not what the sister said. It's not what the brother said. It's that you don't like it because it touched a nerve with you. It hit a raw nerve. It made you insecure. It reminded you that you're maybe not where you know you could be. And that's why you're responding in that way.
You know what? That's interesting, because as we carry on the video, this sister comes up with something interesting.
I actually have so much to say about this.
Go for it, start.
Okay, I think a lot of people think that it's like a point system. Oh yes, hijab ding, you know, like next level. And I don't think God is like, this person wears the hijab, you're good to go, versus this person doesn't, so you're out. I think everything else that you do weighs in. I do know many hijabis that like do not follow anything else. And I know a lot of non-hijabis that are the most religious, you know, women that I've ever met.
I have a friend on like Instagram who dresses however she wants to dress, and she could rock it. She has a body for it.
Mashallah.
But she goes to every Friday prayer, and I'm like, dang, she's a better Muslim than I am.
Right. So now this is where it gets a little bit interesting, yeah. But this is not one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, yeah. But let's just address it. Sister Farzana, do you think she has a point in the context where she's saying, hold on a second, yeah? And I've seen this in my life. Like, for example, I can remember when I was in Knightsbridge and it was time for Maghrib. And usually I do Uber, so it's like part-time. And sometimes I have to stop and pray. So I have a prayer mat, I have to go outside and pray. I was, and this was very interesting to me, because I don't know how the sister, he's a non-hijabi, noticed me looking for the Qibla. And she came to me and said, I live local, the Qibla's that way. And she was a non-hijabi. Like, if any brother, we have this concept, if any brother saw her on the road, it would be like, they would never think she prays Salah. Never. So where do you think the sister's right in the context where she's saying that, you know, and there needs to be a thin line, because then there comes where Sister Naima said, where people justify, okay, I don't wear the hijab, but I pray. It's not an excuse. But Sister Farzana, what would you say to what you just heard?
I think we have to be aware of the fact that as Muslims, we shouldn't be judging anyone anyway. And some people do that. It seems to be, you know, it doesn't, like Sister Naima mentioned, you know, self-development is a big thing. And those who are not there and they don't understand themselves of what's coming from them internally, they feel that other people are reflecting, you know, judgment on them. So I think we have to understand that, yeah, okay, this sister is saying that there's sisters that are praying 5 times a day and they don't wear a hijab, and they're better Muslims than sisters wearing a hijab. But then personally, I'm a sister who does wear a hijab, and I don't look at sisters in that way. If there's a sister who's not wearing a hijab, I will never ever think that I'm better than her. So a lot of the times I feel that sisters, they do know what the right thing is, like Sister Naima mentioned, but they might have a fear of actually going there themselves, the fear of how are people gonna react to me wearing the hijab. In a similar way to sisters who might want to remove the hijab, they might be thinking, how's someone going to react to me removing the hijab?
Yeah, no, again, it's that thing of, you know, I know sisters who wear hijab who do haram things, and I know sisters who don't wear hijab who are, mashallah, amazing Muslims. And of course, we're complex human beings. You know, I think even as Muslims, we like to think of ourselves as quite black and white, quite cut and dried. But to be honest, Brother Ali, especially in this generation, the millennials and the Gen Zs, it's not black and white anymore. You know, we know, you know, people can be on it in certain areas and be falling short severely in other areas, and you can't really tell. So in this day and age, my advice really to every sister, every brother is take care of your own affairs. You know if you're doing all you can do. And you know when you're making excuses, you know when you're being lazy, you know when you're just trying to get some fatwa from somewhere, you know, the nafs knows, you know what I'm saying? So having conversations where we're saying, you know, I know people who do this, I know people who do that. Okay, but what about you? Focus on yourself. What are you doing? And are you really pushing yourself to do the very best you can That's the most important thing.
Exactly. May Allah bless you. Okay, I'm going to carry on the video, but this is very important because a lot of people justify to themselves. Like they'll say, okay, for example, like you said before, I don't wear the hijab, but I pray, and that is true. You'll have a lot of like sisters in hijab who miss their salah, and that's a major sin. Yeah, and that is a major sin as well. The hijab is important as well, and then you have others who do not wear the hijab, but they do not miss their salah. But the point is this: why don't we, instead of comparing, but she does that, he does that, or the same with the brothers, by the way, yeah, or he has a beard, or he doesn't pray salah, etc. How about we wear, like, let's say for the sister, wear the hijab and pray. For brothers, have the beard and pray. And why does it have to be, no, but she does that, I don't? So it's very important for us to not take blame. Let's be the better person. You know what? You don't wear hijab, you pray. I don't wear hijab. Let me wear hijab and try to pray. And same with the brothers, of course. And I think that'll resolve it. Let's watch this video. I think it's just the last bit, and then inshallah we're going to get to the real crux of this video.
To your point, like if we're talking, let's talk about hijab, for example. You don't do that. Do you feel?
Yeah, I'm sinning right now. I know that. If you have to say, well, I'm more rebellious, you know you're doing something wrong, and that's shaitan trying to get you to normalize it. A lot of sins that we're doing, we're being normalized.
No, that's definitely true. A dude should not be checking me out. Like, I think the hijab like prevents that. Like, for example, without my hijab, I go to like a solid like 8 out of 10 appearance, like attraction-wise, and then with the hijab, I'm like, you know, a 2. And I think it does a really good job. Like, when it makes me uglier, I feel like, good job, hijab.
You know, if I'm choosing to dress the way I dress, and that technically like does not hurt anyone else, you know, it's just my personal choice, I don't think you're going to hell. I think it's such a personal relationship between me and, you know, God, Allah, you know, that kind of thing. It frustrates me when people get involved because I'm like, it's none of your business.
Right.
Let me do me, you know?
I want to first pay attention, for example, to the very sister that we talked about in the beginning without the hijab. This is what I admire and respect, where she goes, I'm sinning. Now, you put your hands up to that and say, you know what? Because the problem that we have today is people justify. No, I am, but you know, look, at least you're saying I'm sinning and I'm working on it, yeah? So that's good. But there's one thing, and you guys can elaborate on that. There's one thing that sister says, the sister who's not wearing the hijab, yeah? She says, I choose to dress up like this. Now, this is the reason I'm doing this whole video, yeah? And I'm going to be talking a bit about this book and reference something. If any sisters watching this, you need to read this book, yeah? When she says, I choose to dress up like this, because you see, I was having a little discussion with some ex-Muslim females, and they take these pictures with a hijab before, and then their picture now of their freedom, if it was just like, you know, just dressing up, let's suppose just like a jumper, nothing revealing, but all of their pictures are all in revealing clothing, and they deem this to be, I'm free, and I've made this choice. Now, can we agree, sisters? Tell me if I'm wrong here, yeah? Because the reason I've got your sister on here is to grill me if needed be. Come and say, brother Ali, no, you're wrong. But the sister says, I choose to wear the hijab. I believe that is not correct. And the same with the brother. I can't come and say, I choose to pray Fajr. No, I have free will. Don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about that. I have the free will, but I pray Fajr because Allah tells me to. Not I choose to in that sense. I'm not talking about the free will here. I'm not talking about Qadr here. So when a sister says, I choose to wear the hijab, or a brother says, I choose to grow a beard, no, you do it because Allah tells you to do it. Am I wrong or correct? Sister Fahima, yeah.
I guess with this, it just shows there is a lot of lack of understanding and education when it comes to us learning about the essence and true meaning of Islam. When you submit and when you commit to your faith, then your choices are there, but then you make your choices and your behaviors really does show as to where your commitment lies. And yes, we are definitely influenced by society today as well. And that's why we think subconsciously that it's my choice. But even psychologists and people around that have studied have shown how much we are influenced. And that's why if you understand your faith well enough, you can maybe, you know, get a little bit sidetracked, but you'll understand that it is a sidetrack, but you need to get back on lane. So that's the thing. I think we need to give more emphasis as to how we are educating our youngsters in our home and in the Arabic schools or Islamic schools with regards to, from a very young age, the essence behind the recitation of Quran, understanding the meaning, understanding the benefits, understanding the protection. And then you won't have these kind of questions, because as you get to a certain age, there is an existential sort of awareness as to why am I here? What am I doing? What does it mean? And if you're not getting the right role models and influences around you, then these are the kind of things that you'll be sort of saying and giving yourself that excuse for going and veering off in a different direction than the faith and the submission that you need to actually, commit to.
Is that Sister Naima?
Yeah, no, I think I totally agree with you, Sister Fahima. And I think what a lot of us don't really realize is nowadays we all have these kind of demons that we have to fight, right? Firstly, in modern society, people seem to have forgotten that the nafs is to be controlled, not to be submitted to, right? So when we say, I'm doing me, this is my truth, this is what I am, this is my authentic self, this is who I really am, I'm showing up as my true self. Hear that word self in English, it sounds very innocuous, you see it everywhere. But self is nafs in Arabic. That's the nafs, that's the ego, right? And we know from our deen that the nafs needs to be humbled, the nafs needs to be controlled, because if you give into your nafs, it will take you down the road of desires and lead you astray. Okay. So you've got nafs on the one hand, then you've got shaitan, which nobody seems to realize is also like playing a part here, right? And also a lot of young people do think they're making choices based on their own individual process, not realizing, as you said, Fahima, the programming, the advertising, the whole societal conditioning that is at work all the time that makes you think you're making a free choice when you're actually not.
Okay, there's someone called Rousseau, he's a philosopher. He said, man is born free, but in shackles everywhere. So now when the sister was saying that, because she was talking from a liberal point of view, a philosophical point of view, where she's saying basically, I choose to, or for example, she's talking a bit about hellfire, etc. So the point is this: when we talk about, for example, what that philosopher said, man is born free, but he's shackled everywhere. The point is this: we are all bound to be enslaved to something. We're bound to be. We are bound to be. Like me, I came to Islam and I found my true freedom by being a slave to the one who created me, because he deserves it, rather than being a slave to a jumper that I used to wear that I thought I looked good in, or going certain places, or driving certain things, or going to the gym. And I was like, wow, these are all my masters, because I'm trying to make all of them happy. So the thing is this: so we can agree and say that yes, we follow the legislation of like the hijab, or be it brothers wearing the beard, or the praying or fasting, whatever it may be. We do it because Allah tells us to. Yes, so we can't really say it's a choice. So now I want to come to the other side, Sister Fazana. Yeah. So when they say, for example, when the sister said it's my choice to dress up like this, this is where the split comes in. Beauty sick, yeah, because there is a generation of, like, if you look at some studies here, yeah, it's mind blowing. Yeah, if you think about it, it's as if they are saying, okay, we've left Islam, like for example, whoever it may be, and they make it seem as if they've found freedom. No, you're following another religion now, because if you think about it, as Muslims, we have to fast in Ramadan, right? In this book, it talks about, for example, how girls who they literally fast, but you know why they fast? Because of their body. Because can you imagine, like, as a believer, as Muslims, we fast because Allah tells us to. Now, some people who leave the religion, I'm not saying all of them, yeah, but the thing is, now you go into this zone where, for example, you are the beauty industry. Let's talk about the beauty industry. How you're being hypersexualized, sexualized society. You've got the peer pressure. How I do not believe this statement, and tell me if I'm wrong, Sister Fazana, to say that you made the choice without any peer pressure to take off your hijab, to, for example, dress up in a certain way. Are you telling me that there was nothing at play that made you do that? Because when we think about force, we think someone's got a gun to your head, or you're forced. And I'm not denying there are people who force their children to wear hijab. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. Yeah, but if we're going to talk about a bigger picture here, you are indirectly, subconsciously being forced to look and dress a certain way that you can't even step out the house without the makeup. So, Sister Fazana, I hope that answers the question. Sometimes I go all over the place, but do you understand the question, or should I reiterate it?
No, that's fine. I think personally, media and family and friends can sometimes influence the way you say I made a choice. It can be in a way forced upon you in a subconscious way, where you don't even realize that you've kind of thought you've made a choice, but it's never been your choice all the way along. It's been through the influence of others. And yes, media does play a major part in this, but I also believe that the surroundings you have within the home, that's also going to play a major influence in the way you dress and the way you behave. In some cases where a sister is trying to wear a hijab and the family members will have no respect for that,
They'll walk in on her without knocking on the door. They might even say to her, oh, you've become holy all of a sudden. So there's a lot of pressure that sisters and brothers may feel. For example, a brother may start keeping a beard, and all of a sudden the friends that he's been hanging around with all these years are now saying, hang on a minute, when did you become holy? Don't tell me what to do. Just
start calling him Imam. Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of that. So yeah, we can blame the media, but I think that it's deeper than that, and family and friends can also influence you rather than you saying, okay, I made this choice.
Okay, so she's saying there was a survey over 200,000 young people in 42 different countries. I was saddened but not surprised to read that among 15-year-olds in every country surveyed, girls were more likely than boys to report that they were too fat. One survey of over 50,000 adults found that women were less satisfied overall with how they look compared to men. And this affects their life. So if you think about it, there is a pandemic. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy, you know. And there was a survey that was done, for example, how, you know, in ads they use these, you know, half naked girls, etc. And they were talking about, there was a study done in, I can't remember which university it was, in America. And what they did is that they placed watches. So these watches were from £10,000 to £5,000 to £1,000 to £100 to $10. Women were less emotionally upset when they were advertising in a let's say in a bikini or whatever to an expensive watch. But when it was a cheaper watch, they felt more, you know, emotionally upset. So you can see, for example, firstly, for them to be sexually objectified, they're not even beyond that. Like back in the days in Jahiliyyah, when I used to like go to clubbing and stuff like that, there are certain rappers who would use the B word, and you will have girls in the club literally like, yeah, I'm thinking like, subhanAllah, can you imagine the level of indoctrination that they are accepting and embracing a term, the B word, and they're embracing it like as if it's something to be proud of. Where is this, like, where do you think this is coming from? And it comes back to our point: are they truly free when they say we choose to dress up like this or look like this? And even just recently, a supermodel who got, you know, plastic surgery in a certain part of her body died. So can you see the pandemic? And if there's a sister watching this, what would you say to when they come and say, okay, I found my freedom and I took off the hijab? Sister Fahima, let's start with you.
I think the way in which modern day describe freedom is very different to the way in which we look at it. There are certain ways that we have to also understand that the human nature and human beings, there isn't such a thing that we just choose freely. We are always influenced in one particular way or another. That was my point to begin with. And I think a lot of people lack that kind of knowledge as to how human mind and behavior and psychology works, because they think that they are free. They think they're making choices. But we know from, you know, many levels, whether it's policy, governments, whether it's media, and especially as much as what everyone says, social media does affect a lot of us. This is what we're constantly being bombarded with. And there are subliminal messages all over us where we are now being programmed and institutionalized to act, behave in a particular way. And even this whole, circumstance that we're in this pandemic has shown how much we have to conform and perform in particular states of mind. And I just think that each one has to really take on that role of education, especially when it comes to your faith. Because as much as people say, oh, I don't want to do something that's been there, hundreds of years ago, but it's our history that's giving us the solutions today with regards to how we need to do things when it comes to our faith. Is not just, a separation to our lifestyle. As we know, our faith is our life. If only we knew how to perform it. Because if you pray, then that should add to your day. That should add to the benefits. That should do something. But we're not taught that way. We're not looking at it that way. And we're only doing rituals. That's why we're not actually getting the benefits. And then we're veering again to another section. So there's so many things to consider on this. But again, I think a lot of people need to really understand education when it comes to their faith.
The woman who wrote this, she's doing a survey. She asked these participants, think about the ways in which you believe your life would be different if you look like this woman. How would things change for you? So your ideal woman, yeah? The response was so upsetting. This is from her. The response was so upsetting that I considered stopping the study early. One young woman told us that if she could just be beautiful, she would finally be able to focus on her inner abilities and talent. Another said she might genuinely feel happy most of the time instead of just faking it. A different young woman explained that if she could just look the way our culture wants women to look, she would never have had an eating disorder, causing stress on everyone around her that she loves but still hurts. Over 70% of the women in the study said they'll be treated better but by others if they looked like the beauty ideal. Yeah, Sister Naima, you're a revert to Islam. Yeah, I don't know how long you've been a revert, but if you can tell us as a revert sister, maybe, like I said before, maybe in your young, how long have you been a revert sister, by the way? If you don't mind asking.
23 years.
23 years. MashaAllah. So did you have a moment in your life before you came to Islam where you felt pressured and to look a certain way? And why did you choose Islam? Because as a Western, like a woman, somebody come and say, why would you choose Islam out of all religions? Look how oppressed you are. You know, we can only just see your eyes. You know, so you're such a, you know, there's this conception. You know, your husband probably beats you up, and oh, you're such a miskin. You know, we feel sorry for you. Let's start a charity for you. Is this the case? Why did you embrace Islam?
I don't mind someone starting a charity for me. That's fine. Thank you. Take that. No, really, actually, it's very interesting that you asked that question because I considered myself a feminist growing up. When I was a teenager, what I understood of feminism, which was basically, you know, women living loud and proud, I considered myself that. And it was actually seeing women wearing hijab in Egypt that kind of opened my eyes to Islam because I got very angry. I got very, very angry by seeing all these covered women, you know, more and more and more of them. And I did exactly what you said. I said, you know, why are these women oppressed? Why do they make them dress like this? This is not good. They should be free to dress how they want, etc. And subhanAllah, it's really Allah's qadr that He chose that to guide me because it really was this fascination with like why would you want to dress like that? That made me actually speak to someone and say, you know, you're so beautiful. Why do you cover yourself? And she just said to me, may Allah bless her, subhanAllah, this sister, because she's a woman in Egypt, in a city in Egypt, and I asked her, you're so beautiful, why do you cover yourself? And she said to me, check this, because I want to be judged for what I say and what I do, not what I look like. And for me, that was like, what is this mindset? What is this strength? What is this courage? What is this woman who does not need what me and all my friends need, which is appreciation, male validation, admiration, all these things that we were taught to crave and to seek. She didn't need any of that.
Exactly. And you know, I'm going to go back to the book. I'm so sorry. Look what she said here, yeah? Beauty sickness is what happens when women's emotional energy gets so bound up with what they see in the mirror that it becomes harder for them to see the other aspects of their lives. Yeah. This is crazy. I'm not going to quote from this book anymore, by the way. We're going to wrap up in a minute. But the thing is, it's so powerful that as a like, for example, like our sisters, you guys are on here, like as Muslim men, like we try to honor our sister and be respectful in the way we conduct ourselves. And the thing is, it's like, it's you when we look at you, we should look at you as a human being. You're a person, not, okay, you know, for example, I need to, you know, impress someone with, you know, my makeup or whatever it may be, etc. Yeah, and that's normal. Everyone has their struggles, etc. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not, you don't, like sometimes I look at certain females and I'm like, wow, the only thing you have to offer is your body parts. And that's so sad that society has brought you to such a low level that you think the only thing you have to offer is your body parts. And as Islam has come to get rid of that, break those shackles, and to say you're a human being, you have much more to offer. So for closing statements, I want to start with Sister Farzana. Sister Naima, have you finished your point, or is there anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, because you asked about the the difference between being, you know, non-Muslim and being Muslim. And I think that, you know, what we need to really realize today is that the same pressures that I felt as a young woman growing up are felt today by Muslim girls times 100, if not 1,000. And I'm going to put it on social media's door. Sorry, not sorry, but it is social media. And our girls are suffering from it too. So you see what you said there about knowing what you have to offer and knowing that it's so much more than the way that you look. That is something that we should be teaching our boys and especially our girls from the home, through schools, through, as you said, Fahima, you know, madaris, etc. Because it is a huge mushkila in our society today.
May Allah bless you. Sister Faizana, closing statements, anything? If there's young girls watching this, and just your closing statement.
I think there's a lot of pressure on, young sisters to kind of like conform to what society wants them to be. And yeah, there is a slight movement in that, in the kind of like Western side of things, where ladies are, big is beautiful and all this kind of stuff. But I think if there's still that kind of essence of beautiful. What is beauty? Beauty is from the soul. Like, you could have the most amazing person to look at, and yet, when they speak of their personality or their character, it's ugly. So we have to, as individuals, put that forward, in the sense, in the past, I've heard parents say to their children, why are you dressed like that? That doesn't look right. Go change your clothes. Or, they'll grill their child for not looking like what it should do. Even, I've seen 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, where parents are dressing them up as this perfect Instagram baby. And it gets ridiculous to the point where parents themselves, or, as society as a whole, we're not realizing that what kind of vibe are we giving off. So I think, we have to look at ourselves as well, that where do we draw the line? Yes, media is influencing in a major way, but then how many of us are actually taking a back seat and thinking, no, I don't want to look like that, I want to look like this, whether we're a Muslim or whatever religion that might be. I think, we have to look at ourselves and then, understand that where we can make that change of within the homes as well. Because the media, how does it come into the home? We're bringing it into the home. We're not supervising our children. We're not supervising these teenagers. And as children, we're not into with our younger children, toddlers. Parents are not interacting with them. So when the child grows up and becomes a teenager, that teenager no longer wants to interact with the parent. So now when you say to your teenager, you should be dressing like that when you go out, they're going to ignore you the way you ignore them as a child. So there's a lot that we can talk about this forever. I think,
Sister Fahima, closing statements.
I think in this day and age, we are definitely able to adapt, and the way in which we can adapt is to understand, especially as Muslims, that life is a struggle. It's not easy to wear the hijab, and we need to embrace that, because we always want to be comfortable and we always want to fit in, and that also comes with your lack of confidence, self-esteem, and more importantly, know your meaning and purpose in life. Study that, understand that when you have your meaning and purpose in life, no matter what platform you're on, no matter where you're sitting at, you don't need to be there for everyone, and that is okay. And that's the issue right now, because we want to constantly be acknowledged, given that kind of like, tap on the back, or those 100 likes and shares and whatever it may be. We need that acknowledgement, because we are not fulfilled and happy within ourselves. And when you know your meaning and purpose in life, when you are strong and you have that kind of understanding of your own faith and belief, which gives you all the answers, the key is there, you just have to open the treasures and it gives you all the answers. I would say go and read and learn and look. There's many things out there. Even use social media to your advantage, to listen to lecturers, the right people, the right influencers, the right role models, and you will get that answer and the right direction, inshallah.
Inshallah. May Allah bless you guys, all of you. It's amazing, mashallah, amazing perspective from you guys. And inshallah, if there's any more other topics regarding this area where sisters are needed, definitely would love for you guys to come again, inshallah. May Allah bless you guys. And for those who are watching, once again, like I said before, I put emphasis on what the sister said last about the choice, because we go under this impression that we think we're making decisions, but we don't understand that subconsciously we are being forced and we don't realize. And then we're like, I choose to. Whenever you think about this, sisters, yeah. For those who, for example, I'm not talking about those who just taking the hijab off. This video is mainly down for those who are ex-Muslim females thinking that they're liberating themselves by leaving the hijab and thinking that it was their conscious decision to make that. And I'm saying, was it really? Think about it. For example, and especially when these females, for example, I had a discussion with one of them in Speaker's Corner. She came and she was dressed in such a way that she was there, and I had to talk like this. Yeah, I couldn't look at her. It was impossible for me to look at her. And I was thinking, is she? Am I going to be that she consciously made that decision to dress up like that? Why would you want to show a certain part of your body in display to that man? Like, you have freedom to do whatever you like. I'm just thinking, was it a free choice, or was it manipulated in a certain way subconsciously that you think you made a choice, but you actually didn't? And that's what this video was about today, brothers and sisters. If you would like Sister Farzana, Sister Naima, Sister Fahima to do reaction videos to other topics regarding this issue, where a sister's perspective is said, I've listened to you guys, there's the sisters, there's 3 of them, and I've brought them here, and may Allah bless all of them, inshallah. They came, alhamdulillah, in a decent manner. We conducted a beautiful social reaction video, and hope you guys benefited from that. On the comment section, tell us if there's any other videos you would like us to react to. Till next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please share this with your friends and family, and if you have young siblings, females, share it with them, inshallah. Inshallah will benefit them. Till next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.